Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. The music wasn't even that loud. That's what bothers me most. It wasn't some deafening party where words get lost in the noise. No, it was quiet enough for everyone to hear everything. Every single word. She waited until the toast was over, until the laughter died down, until I had finally let myself breathe, thinking maybe we'd have a peaceful night for once. Then she stood up. She didn't even look at me. She just walked across the room in heels that clicked like tiny countdowns and reached for his hand. Right there, in front of everyone. My friends, her coworkers, our neighbors. Even my cousin was there. She didn't stutter. She didn't hesitate. She gave me the kind of smile people save for courtroom victories and said, "Relax, darling. It's just one night." The air left the room. And me. I stood there holding 2 plastic champagne flutes, like some prop in a joke I didn't know I was part of. Someone laughed. Awkwardly. Another person whispered something and looked away. No one stopped her. No one stopped him. They walked out like I didn't exist. That's not the part that haunts me, though. It's how normal it all felt. Like she'd done this before. Like they all expected it. And I just stood there, blinking, wondering if maybe I misunderstood. But I didn't. That was the moment everything shattered. Not loudly, like in movies. Cracked quietly, like thin glass under pressure. And no one even looked back to see the pieces. I didn't go after her. I don't know if that makes me weak or just stunned beyond reaction. I stood there a while, long after they left, long after people pretended to return to their conversations. But no one really did. You could feel the silence stuck in the air like smoke from a fire that just went out. I don't even remember the drive home. The cup holders still had the 2 untouched champagne flutes when I pulled into the driveway. For a moment, I thought maybe this was some twisted joke or a stunt. Like one of those social experiments that ends with a hug and a laugh and someone yelling, "You're on camera." But no, the porch light was off. Her car wasn't in the driveway. And the house was darker than usual, like it knew something had been broken inside it. When I walked in, I noticed it right away. A white envelope, resting dead center on the kitchen counter like it had been placed there with surgical precision. My name written on the front. Not Lowell. Not even Low. Just you. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No explanation. Just typed words in cold font. "I need to feel something different. Don't make this into a war. I'll be back tomorrow." No apology. No regret. Just instructions. Like I was supposed to wait for her return like a loyal pet after she ran off with a stranger in front of everyone I know. But it wasn't the note that broke me. It was the slippers. Her slippers were still by the door. Like she planned to slide back into them the next morning as if nothing happened. Like betrayal could be folded neatly away and resumed after breakfast. I sat on the couch for hours. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat. Like the furniture present but meaningless. At 2:14 a.m. her phone buzzed on the coffee table. She'd forgotten it. A single message preview lit up the screen. "Jasper. She bought it. You're free." I stared at that screen so long it went black. My hands wouldn't move. My stomach twisted. It wasn't just one night. It was a plan. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even pretend to try. I just sat there, staring at her forgotten phone, watching it light up over and over like a lighthouse warning me of a shipwreck I was already drowning in. Jasper sent 3 more texts. The last one said, "She's better when she's not pretending. You'll see." I didn't answer. Couldn't. I was too busy trying to remember how I ever believed her smile. Or her laugh. Or those nights when she curled into me like I was her safe place. I kept asking myself, was it all fake? Or did I just become invisible gradually? So slowly I didn't even notice? Around 5:30 a.m. When the sky started turning that pale blue-gray, I picked up my phone and did something I never thought I'd do. I called Everett. He used to be my closest friend, almost like a brother, until he slowly drifted out of our lives about 2 years ago. No fight, no drama, just distance. I always thought it was because he got busy with his new job and moved across town. Now I wonder if it was something else. He picked up on the second ring. Lowell. His voice was dry, confused. I know it's early, I said, swallowing the shaking in my throat. But I need you to tell me what you know. There was a long silence on the line. I thought maybe he'd hung up. But then, with a sigh that sounded like guilt wrapped in gravel, he said, I told her not to do it that way. That way? There was a way to do this. Like there's a guidebook for shattering someone's life? What did she tell you? I asked. My hands were trembling now, my knees bouncing uncontrollably. He sighed again, slower this time. Lowell. I didn't know it would go this far. I knew she was getting close to someone. I didn't know it was Jasper until last week. She told me she was done pretending, that you were comfortable but empty. I told her she was being reckless. She planned that party, I whispered. That moment. She said she wanted everyone to see her as she really is, he replied quietly. She wanted to burn the mask in front of an audience. And just like that, it hit me. I wasn't part of the collateral damage. I was the target. After the call with Everett, I didn't speak. I didn't move. The sun had already risen, spilling soft light across the living room like nothing had happened. Like the universe didn't care that my entire life had detonated in slow motion. I sat with that stillness until I heard the front door. She was home. No knock. No guilt. Just her keys jangling like normal. The door swinging open like it had 100 times before. Darla walked in carrying a tote bag and a coffee cup, wearing the same dress she left in. Her hair tied back like she'd just come from yoga. Her eyes landed on me and didn't flinch. You saw the note? She asked, like she'd left me a message about groceries. I didn't respond. She moved toward the stairs. I'm taking a shower. That was it. No explanation. No apology. No shame. And the worst part? A part of me, some pathetic, broken piece, still wanted her to turn around and say it was all a mistake. But she didn't. I waited until the water upstairs started running before I stood up and walked into the bedroom. I wasn't looking for anything. I didn't have a plan. I just felt pulled. Maybe by instinct or anger, or the need to prove to myself that I wasn't imagining how far gone this all was. The top drawer of her dresser had always been hers alone. Scarves, perfume, old birthday cards she never threw away. I opened it and began pulling things out. Slowly, carefully. Then I saw it. A small manila folder, tucked beneath a silk scarf. No label. No dust. Inside were photographs. Not printed selfies or Polaroids. Professionally taken. Her and Jasper. On a dock. In a field. In someone's kitchen, not ours. They looked like engagement photos. But they weren't smiling for the camera. They were smiling for each other. Holding hands. Laughing. Kissing. Dozens of them. Some dated months ago. There was a letter tucked in the back. Folded 3 times. My name wasn't on it, but I read it anyway. It wasn't hers. It was from his mother. Welcoming Darla to the family. Thanking her for saving Jasper from his painful past. And calling her the woman we've prayed for. I dropped it. She hadn't just cheated. She had been replaced, me, our life, our marriage, and I was never meant to find out. She must have heard the drawer slam, or maybe it was the silence that gave me away. Either way, Darla appeared in the doorway wrapped in a towel, dripping water onto the hardwood. Her face still damp but her eyes sharp. I was standing in the middle of the bedroom, holding the envelope of photos in one hand and the letter from Jasper's mother in the other. My mouth was dry. I couldn't find words. All I could do was stare at her like she was someone I didn't recognize. She didn't panic. She didn't gasp or reach to snatch anything back. Instead, she tilted her head and said, "You weren't supposed to see that. That's what broke me. Not the betrayal, not the lies, not the months of pretending. It was how casual she was about all of it. Like this was some mildly inconvenient breach of privacy. Like I had invaded her space. How long?" I finally asked. My voice cracked like it hadn't been used in years. She walked over to her side of the closet, pulled out a robe and shrugged. "Long enough to know what I want now. Now, not what she wanted when she married me. Not what we promised each other in front of our families. Now, and what's that?" I asked. She slipped on the robe and cinched it lazily. Peace. Passion. Something real. Then what was I? I asked louder this time. What was this? I motioned to the room, the house, our life. She looked at me like I was slow. Comfort, Lowell. You were comfort. Stability. But comfort isn't love. Not the kind that lasts. She said it like it was wisdom. Like she was doing me a favor by finally enlightening me. I laughed. A sharp, broken sound I didn't recognize. So that night at the party? That was your grand reveal? Humiliate me in front of everyone so you could walk into your real life like a goddess in heels. She actually smiled. It was liberating. You don't understand now, but someday you might. And just like that, she turned her back to me and walked out of the room. Like nothing happened. Like I hadn't just watched my entire world peel off like wallpaper in a burning room. I didn't follow her this time either. But I didn't sit still either. Because this wasn't going to end in silence. I didn't leave the house the next morning. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I just waited. For what, I didn't know, maybe for it to stop hurting, or for some part of me to finally accept that the woman I married had been vanishing for a long time, and I had just refused to see it. Darla spent most of the day on her phone, pacing the backyard like it was a stage, and she was rehearsing lines for a new life. She hadn't asked me to leave. She hadn't packed a single bag. Maybe she thought I'd be the one to crawl away, tail between my legs, too shattered to even speak. She didn't know me as well as she thought. Around 3 p.m., the doorbell rang. Darla was upstairs. I opened it, expecting maybe a delivery or another slap from fate. Instead, a man stood there. Clean suit, stern face, short, efficient haircut. He looked at me like he already knew my name. He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a small envelope and said, "This was meant for her, but I was told you should be the one to see it first." Before I could say anything, he turned and walked away. No explanation, no hesitation, just gone. I closed the door and stood in the hallway with the envelope in my hands. It had no name on it, just a red wax seal. Who even uses wax seals anymore? My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside was a printed document. No letter, no greeting. It was a contract. More specifically, it was a prenup, but not ours. It was between Jasper Callahan and Darla Whitcomb. Dated 6 months ago. Signed. Filed. It detailed division of assets, inheritance expectations, travel clauses. Travel clauses? Who writes about vacation restrictions before getting engaged? There were notes scribbled on the margin in her handwriting. Move sooner if he suspects. Delete old photos. Leave no trail. My knees buckled. I sat on the stairs, staring at the signature line again and again. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't just infidelity. This was a blueprint, a replacement plan, an escape strategy built while I was still refilling her coffee every morning. And she was upstairs humming. I set the table like nothing was wrong. 2 plates, her favorite wine, folded napkins even though we never used them. Darla came down around 7, still on her phone, still humming that same off-key tune like it was the soundtrack to her own private movie. She paused in the kitchen doorway, eyebrows raised. "What's this?" I didn't answer. I just nodded toward her seat. She shrugged and sat, smoothing her hair like she was about to charm a dinner guest. "You're cooking now?" she teased, looking at the baked chicken I had reheated from the night before. "What's the occasion?" Still, I said nothing. I waited until she poured herself a glass, sipped, and picked up her fork. Then I placed the envelope on the table. She froze mid-motion. Not a dramatic movie pause, just a flicker in her eyes, like something shifted in her mental script. "What's that?" she asked, even though she knew. I kept my voice calm, flat. "You left something at the front door." A man in a suit dropped it off. He said I should see it first. Her jaw tightened, but she didn't reach for the envelope. "You opened it?" "Wouldn't you?" She placed the fork down slowly. "It's not what you think." "You're right," I said. "It's worse." She leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms like a teenager caught sneaking in past curfew. "Lowell, this is complicated." "No," I said. Building IKEA furniture is complicated. Filing a prenup with another man 6 months ago while still sleeping in my bed? That's calculated. She didn't respond. Not immediately, just stared. For the first time since this began, she had no smug comeback. No dismissive line. Just that silence that only arrives when someone realizes the game's over. Then she whispered, "How much do you know?" "All of it." I lied, and in that moment her face changed. It was like watching a mask slip mid-scene. Her posture dropped. Her voice lowered. She wasn't in control anymore, and she knew it. She reached for the envelope, but I pulled it back. "This isn't dinner conversation," I said. "This is a war declaration." Her hand froze mid-air. "You wouldn't." I stood up slowly. "You already did." I didn't sleep that night either. Not because of rage or heartbreak, but because I finally felt something I hadn't in months. Clarity. While Darla paced upstairs, trying to recover control of a script that was crumbling in her hands, I was downstairs printing copies. Of the prenup, the emails, the photos. I wasn't out for revenge. I didn't want to humiliate her like she had me. I just wanted to take my life back without her fingerprints all over it. By sunrise, I had already packed the essentials. My documents, laptop, a few shirts, and my father's watch, the one thing she never pretended to care about. I left the house key on the coffee table and took a deep breath in the hallway. She must have heard the door open, because I heard her call from the top of the stairs. "Where are you going?" I turned, looked up at her. Hair messy, robe clinging, eyes red from whatever panic she'd been working through all night, and said calmly, "You wanted freedom. I'm giving it to you. No fight, no scenes, just gone." She blinked. "You're not even angry?" I smiled, a real one this time. "Not anymore." And then I walked out. I didn't check my phone for hours. When I finally did, there were 6 missed calls, a few long texts, and 1 voice message I didn't listen to. I deleted them all. 3 weeks later, I moved into a quiet apartment near the edge of town. Small but peaceful. No ghosts in the walls. I started going on walks. I joined a book club. I even found myself laughing again. Not the forced, nervous kind, but the kind that shakes your ribs in a good way. And the best part? I found myself. The version of me that didn't need to beg to be seen. I don't know where life's heading, but I know now what I'll never accept again, and what I deserve. Thank you for watching Reddit Confessions. Tell me in the comments, what moment in this story shocked you the most? Was it the party, the prenup, or the silence at the end? And remember, sometimes the best revenge is peace.